Hello, my name is Vicki and I am a member of All Nations Christian Centre, and this is my thought for the week. Okay, so I've had a number of things that have been sort of floating around in my head, some ideas that I believe God has kind of presented to me. So I will do my best to present them in a coherent way. Okay, so when I was little, when I was living at home with my parents, I have really fond memories of sitting around the dinner table together, and that was our time to catch up with each other, tell each other about the day, have immense amounts of fun. I felt like every dinner time I got a free stand-up comedy set from my dad, and then as my sister got older it was the double act, and many a time I was brought to tears of laughter by those two, and I just have really great memories of those dinner times and the being together as a family that we enjoyed, or that I enjoyed as a child. And I was reading through Psalms recently, and there was a dinner table that sort of struck me as odd, or in an unusual place. And I'm sure that you have read this psalm before, and I wonder if you have been struck by this odd dinner table placement. But we're going to explore that today. So Psalm 23, it says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake." They all seem, I guess, what I would expect from God. And then it says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." Again, really encouraging words, and what I come to know, if you like, of God in my walk with him. But in verse 5 it says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." And this table is a feast table. This is a table of fellowship that God says he will prepare in amongst my enemies. And I want to draw your attention at the same time to 1 Peter 5 verse 8, where it says, "Be self-controlled and alert. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Resist him, standing firm in the faith, because you know that your brothers throughout the world are undergoing the same kind of suffering." So we all are experiencing these times when we can really feel that the enemy, the devil, is around us. He's preparing for a direct attack, if you like. And here in Psalm 23, God says it's in amongst that time, it's within that prowling of the enemy, that I want to make a table. I want to prepare a table for you. I want to sit down and fellowship with you. And I wonder how often we might miss those chances to sit down and fellowship and feast with God at a time when we really need to, at a time when the enemy might be prowling around us and really looking to pull us down, maybe to sidetrack us, to distract us. And it's really important that we take those opportunities to fellowship with God, to sit down and enjoy those times of catching up with him and, sharing the thoughts about our day with him, in the same way that I did with my family when I was younger and when we get together now. And it's also really interesting that who are we listening to in those times when we might be feeling under threat? God is offering us an opportunity to sit down with him. But are we listening to the enemy that's a few meters away, prowling around, trying to distract us? Are we inviting that enemy to sit down at the table with us, and therefore we're not giving God our 100% attention when we really need to? When he's offering a time to refill us, to encourage us, to guide us? Are we giving the enemy a seat at a table that was never meant to be there for them? That table is for us and for God. The enemy isn't invited to that dinner. And some of us sometimes are giving him a +1. I also was struck when I was thinking about these times of dinner or times of feasting or times of, sharing food with God. And actually, I was drawn to the end of John. So after Jesus has been crucified, and Peter and James and John, they've decided to go back and do fishing. Is that as a result of the enemy prowling around? Did they have him whispering in their ears, do you know what, it didn't work out? Do you know what, you might as well go back and do fishing. Go back to what you were doing before. It hasn't worked. Jesus is dead. Didn't work. Just go back and fish. So they're out there fishing, and Jesus turns up and causes this miraculous catch of fish, a way to proclaim that actually Jesus is alive again. Look at my power. You want to listen to that devil? You need to see how many fish I can get in your net. And it's at this time, what does Jesus do? He sits and has a meal with them. He cooks them breakfast, and they sit on the beach and they fellowship. And I wonder, did that voice of the enemy get quieter and quieter the more they sat and chatted with Jesus, fellowshipped with him, spent time with him, listened to him? And we see that Jesus guides Peter back into the fold over a meal, or just after the meal really, but it's over this breakfast time, this fellowship time, that Jesus says, come on, let's have a chat. Ignore what the devil's saying. He's prowling around, he's looking, but you have breakfast with me. So the next time you're feeling like the enemy's getting a little bit too close for comfort, he's prowling around, you feel under pressure, you can hear those whisperings from him saying things that, let's be honest, they're not true. Sit down and have some breakfast with Jesus. Sit down at that table that God has prepared for you and talk to him. And you'll soon find that you can't hear that enemy. You can't hear him. He's too quiet. You listen to what your Father's saying.